Hi there, I'm back with another video, and I just wanted to this time test some watercolor paper. And I know a lot of new artists want to know what to grab, what's best, and so here I am to help you out a little bit. If you are a budget artist, this is something that you can buy for like a dollar, I think, somewhere like Michael's or something. And anywhere from $1 to like $5 for a 5x7 pad. And this is Royal Langnickel Essentials Watercolors pad. And if you notice, the paper is it's textured. It's just extremely dry, and I don't think they added any sizing to the paper. So this might be really absorbent. The sizing is just a chemical additive they put in or on watercolor paper in order to let the paint stay on the top so that you can create amazing things. So there's this one, and next is the Artist Loft watercolor pad. If you go to Michael's, you'll see this a lot. So this is kind of a step up from this one, and the paper is very finely textured, almost barely textured, and it's 90 pounds. I meant to tell you what the pounds is this one. So this is 96 pounds, 100 GSM, and the pounds in the GSM mean pound. The pounds are how much this weighs, sheets per 500 sheets. And the GSM means grams per square meter. So that gives you the weight of the paper. So this is, I guess, a little bit heavier than the Artist Loft, which you can kind of tell by feeling the paper. See the resistance of bending them. This is a little bit more bendy. So the Artist Loft paper sells at like this size, 12 by 9 inches, for like $5 and up. So this, if you're looking for a nice budget paper, this is something really good to start with. I bought this for sketching and inks, not so much watercolors, but you can use all media on this. It says cold press, which means that there's more tooth to the paper, which means there's a lot more texture. And hot press means it's a lot more smooth. And if you look on the back of cold press, you usually see a smoother side. And then the rougher side is the side you work with. So actually, these are the pages I'm going to do our tests on. You can already tell the big difference between the very cheap paper and the not so cheap paper. So this is sort of a gray color, which means that it's whatever blend they used for papers were not 100% white. And the Artist Loft one is kind of a toned white color. So next we're going to Canson, which is actually a really good paper for those who are intermediate. This is just a really good paper. And you'll see a comparison here. The paper is 140 pounds, which means it's really super thick paper, and you can see a bit of a tooth to this paper. I'm not sure if it's showing up, but anyway, it's very thick, and it tears. It's very difficult to tear this paper. So I'm going to save this sheet and work on this sheet. So when you get a nice 9x12 sketchbook, you can always cut down the pages and work with something smaller, or even a quarter size. So you can just do extra practicing, or just divide the page with a pencil and just work on each section, which I've done recently, actually. Was running out in my Inktober, and I quartered the page, and I just did 4 in one page. Okay, so This paper, you can find it for about $12, cheapest. So if you find it somewhere like on Amazon, you can probably get it there for $12. And shipping, whatever you've got for Amazon. So the tone of this paper is the same as Artist Loft. Not a huge difference. So we're going on to Legion as a really nice paper company, and they use retailers to sell their paper. This stuff is handcrafted, and it's 100% cotton, which makes it an excellent paper. And you can find a 7x10 sketchbook, which is not very big. 7x10 is sort of like something like this. 7x10, so something like this for $20, and that's the smallest one they've got. I got the I'm not even sure what size this one is. This is like a 16x12, I think. And their paper is incredibly hard to rip, so I had to use an X-Acto knife to rip this paper. You can see it's really pretty thick. There's lots of layers laid down. There's a pretty good tooth to this paper. Gosh, I hope that's showing up on there. So this is probably your most expensive out of the four, and that's as much as I can afford. You can probably get even better paper than this, but for me, this is what we've got to work with in this little experiment. So I'm just going to put these on the floor, and so alright, I'm back because I had to reset the phone. There was some kind of interference, so I took it off data. So here is the test page key that I'm going to do a bunch of these experiments on these papers with. So I'll do them all, and then I'll hold them to here and just sort of match, so you can see what I've got going on here with these. And there's a mosquito. Ah! I hope I got it. Yucky. So I'm going to do a time lapse with these, and let's see. Let's go through what I've got. So mechanical pencils first. So I've already done some quick sketches on here, and then we have a charcoal pencil 6B. This is a very soft charcoal pencil. Then we have a Pentel pocket brush, which is pretty popular. These have synthetic bristles that are actually a brush, and ink in there. And this is a watercolor pen, and I filled it with a few drops of Sumi ink. This is open, so I'm going to close it. Of Sumi ink, and the rest of it is water. So this is a watered down version of this, and this is great for shading. It's a good tip for anybody who wants to do watercolors as well, but this is really good to add a little shadow into your work. And then I started with a permanent marker that was orange, but it is dead, so I chose this light blue one, which is really inky. So it's really bled through on this very thin sketch paper. And then here's a water-based dye ink, which has got a felt nib on it. And then we'll try some gouache. I put them in this pill sorter because they need to be closed up, and this works out great for when I'm traveling and like to do sketches on the go. So this particular time we'll be doing a light green, which is an emerald green of Holbein, and I think this is indigo, yeah. And then I have a couple watercolors that we'll be trying out, and the dried pan ones are indigo and chromium oxide, and the two wet watercolors are Titanium White in Terra Rosa from M. Graham & Co. The pans were handmade by Penholder, who's someone I did a video before this, and I'll put a link in the description so you can check out his stuff. So here I go. I'm going to do the time lapse, and I'll see you at the end. Okay, so we're back with the results, and from what it looks like, actually I let these dry for a good 15 minutes at least, and some of them are still wet. It looks like the Hobing Gouache Emerald color is still wet on all 4 of them. And what I've observed, let's see, so here's, let me go like this, is that the very cheap paper, even though it's thicker than the Artist Loft, it probably doesn't have any sizing in it, from what I was saying before. As you can see, the dip pen the ink bled through. So, which is not a bad thing if you're just, want to practice and you need just a quick sketch paper to just do some drawing on. And I wouldn't use this for watercolors that you want to keep. That would kind of worries me there. Otherwise, everything else did pretty well on this. It's very absorbent, so going in to rework some of them probably won't be as successful as, say, more expensive paper. See, the Canson, actually, you can lift it right off. I think there's a difference between these two because, and this is the cotton paper, and this is the Canson. These are the 2 thick ones. So, whatever makes this paper, you can lift off of them really well. The cotton seems to be a little bit more absorbent than the other paper, and I've found that just by looking at the dip pen, there's a teeny little bit of feathering on there. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I do find that on the Canson paper, the color just looks more vibrant than any of the other ones. Just find this one to be a little bit better. There's a lot of separation of the handmade watercolors on this one. But for some reason the Canson, it just seems to lay on the paper better. And I mean, you can tell the difference from this color to that color. I honestly think I would pass on this one anytime. I would literally just use this for scratch paper because, I mean, your colors even look more dull. So there you have it. There's my opinion. Everything seemed to work well, and I kind of want to do one more test now that we're back in real time. I have a water sprayer here, and I kind of just want to see how each of these papers react to being sprayed with water. And it's going to be messy, so let me get paper towel ready. So here's the cheap paper. So I'm already seeing some lift here. Even the charcoal is lifting. And the dye is definitely leading. And it's pretty absorbent, so that watercolor paper is staying pretty well. The white is sort of lifting a little. So there's this one. No, this one. Some mega lifting on this one. So the sizing on that one is coming out. I don't know why I like doing this. I enjoy it. Destroying. So you can literally take this right off of this paper. Isn't that funny? So if you really want a paper that you know you need to lift your watercolor paints off of, I would go with this Canson paper. So here's the buckling on this Artist Loft paper is super. So this is a 90-pound paper, so it's bound to do that because it's thinner. This is not lifting at all. Wow. But the dye is like the #1 bleeder in this. So wow. So if you don't want your watercolor to come off, I would go with the most expensive paper, because it looks like it's going to come right off of this Canson here. So you tell me which is your favorite, what would meet your needs. I mean, if you have a project where you need, you know, various projects where you need something different, these would all work for it. It's fun to know. It's good to know what your paper does, so it's nice to have little experiments like these. I hope you enjoyed. I know we made a mess, but maybe you've learned something today, and I definitely have. I'll see you soon.